Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. This is Audrey Russo, President and CEO of the Pittsburgh Technology Council. And in a few moments, we are going to have, I know, a packed conversation with Bob Taylor, CTO of the PA Turnpike Commission. But before I bring him up, I would like to just remind everyone that we have muted your microphones, and we've done that on purpose, and that we have lots of opportunities inside the chat. We're going to be packed with information today. I'm really psyched to have a conversation with Bob. Jonathan Kirsting's with us today, as he is always. He's Vice President of all things media and marketing for the Pittsburgh Technology Council. And he brings a lot of passion to the work around storytelling and marketing for all companies that are members of ours in the region. So really appreciate the legacy of having Jonathan with us, but also doing these events each and every day. Sort of crazy that I think we're on like our almost 250th daily conversations. And I think we're packed for the rest of April with lots of really interesting people who are doing things to change the world, change the region, and make almost everything that we do have a better life. And we're pretty excited by leveraging information. So here we go. We have Huntington Bank, thanking them each and every day for the work and the leadership that they do in our region and supporting business, tech, and their civic engagement. And then we also have 40 by 80. That is the longitude and latitude of Pittsburgh, and that is the wholly owned subsidiary of the Pittsburgh Tech Council. That's our charitable arm. And we do lots of interesting things there. And soon you're going to be hearing more about our apprentice program. So without further ado, I am welcoming Bob Taylor to the forefront, and welcome. Thank you so much, Bob. I'm really thrilled. I always like to ask people how they're doing and a little bit about themselves. Hopefully you've been safe and sound and obviously working, because I know the world is very, very busy in your space. We're going to pack some things in. So just a few things. So you are actually a native sort of East Ender in Pittsburgh, right?
So I was born in Wilkinsburg, grew up a little bit in Swissvale, and now moved to Ligonier when I was younger, and now I live in Harrisburg, PA. Yep. So
it's great. And you're a Penn State grad.
Penn State grad, not a Pitt fan, but love everything else about Pittsburgh, Penguins, Steelers, and Pirates, but not a Pitt fan.
Like the way he says that. Okay, it's clear, we get it. What did you get a degree in?
So I'm actually a civil engineer by background. My careers take an interesting twist. Started in civil engineering, got into traffic engineering, actually with my good friend Paul Carlson, who's on the call, I think. He got me through college, and then really got into intelligent transportation systems, and that led to technology overall.
So, before we talk about tech and innovation and the Turnpike Commission, can you sort of set the stage in terms of what the Turnpike Commission does?
Yeah, so just a little bit about the Turnpike is, we were actually created in 1940, opened in 1940. It's amazing to think that, we built 160 miles in 20 months. So, that's crazy to think of today. I think back then we had about 2 million vehicles per year. Now we're up to 552 miles, and we actually have over 200 million vehicles a year now. So, yeah, so it's crazy. Obviously, we've gone from fare collection to, easy pass to toll by plate. So, we're changing the way we generate or take on tolls to make it more efficient, to improve things. And we're looking at other technologies too. We're looking at mobile solutions to really take on payments. Also looking at toll by car as we get into connected and autonomous vehicles. That's something that's going to be coming. So definitely, we're transforming. But yeah, definitely to think of us, we were the first interstate highway in the country by about 16 years. So kind of neat stuff.
Wow.
But
so your role is Chief Technology Officer. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep. And
so is this a new role?
Yeah, so I
first person in this role.
We changed the title from CIO to CTO.
Right.
I was blessed to be asked to serve in this capacity about 4 years ago. Prior to that, I was the manager of traffic operations. I kind of helped that room behind me, which is what that room really manages our traffic incidents, traveler information program, all that kind of good stuff. So we made great strides there. Now I'm hoping to oversee the overall technology program at the Turnpike.
And so as CTO, Chief Technology Officer, are there some specific things about your role and responsibility that you think it's important for us to know?
Boy, really, it's pretty simple. My job is to make sure we get the right technology in place to support our customers from a safety and mobility standpoint, but also to support the business. So, it's exciting to talk about connected and automated and electric vehicles, but, frankly, we're an 80-year-old business as well, too. So we're doing things internally to improve and be ready for the future, whether that's automating process or looking at how we work with vendors, all those things. So, my job is just to improve the business, and we've got a great technology team. And we've got a great innovation culture. That's one thing I love about the Turnpike is, we're proud to try to innovate. So.
And so the difference between being the CIO and the CTO?
I don't know.
Okay, that's all good. So let's talk about the technology operations and some of the major projects. Let's start with there.
Yes. So this might take a few minutes.
That's fine.
I'll start with that room behind me. It's something I'm proud of. We really responded. We combined procedures, training, and technology to really improve things. We've reduced our instant response times down by about 20% over the last few years through that combination. What excites me about that means, we save lives and people can keep moving on the Turnpike. So that's great. Just from some of the things we've done from a technology standpoint, ITS, Intelligent Transportation Systems, we've installed more than 170 DMS signs, dynamic message signs, just to inform the motorists, if we have a detour, if there's a major accident, weather events, that type of things. We've also have about 100 cameras. And what's really cool, what we're doing with our cameras now is video analytics. So we are actually detecting wrong way drivers, which is, always a catastrophic crash when that happens. Vehicles that are stopped, we get alerts for that, so we can go help them. And even pedestrians, we get some pedestrians walking along the road. We detect that as well too. So that's really cool. We're really using data. We were one of the first Waze partners, and we consume a lot of data. We share a lot of data. We consume data from Waze, Google, NREX, AccuWeather, several others, and we have some tools that really help us be more situationally aware. And one thing we see is that Waze incidents are reported about 4 minutes before a 911 call. So by taking on that feed and really being aware of it, we're responding more quickly. On the other side, we're also equipping our vehicles with a thing called HOS alerts that sends a Waze alert into the app. So when we have a vehicle stopped on the road for emergency services, somebody using Waze gets an alert about that. So that's great. We're improving safety of our employees and of our customers. So, and just a couple other things, we've also put a new traffic management system in. And what's really awesome about that is, it used to take a few years ago with all 170 signs, if we had an incident or a detour, it would take up to 40 minutes to activate all the signs. Now we have what we call incident response plans. And it's really, you press the easy button and it activates all the signs. So, imagine if you're a customer and there's a major crash, we don't want to wait 40 minutes to tell you. We want to tell you right away. So we all have that all sort of, pre-canned and ready to go when there's an incident on the road. So that's, really exciting stuff. The other thing that we're focusing a lot on is really customer service. Our CEO, Mark Compton, he challenges us not to be like New Jersey Toll Agency or Ohio Turnpike. He wants us to be like Zappos or Amazon and offer premium customer service. We know we charge, to ride a road, so we need to be great in customer service. So there's an RFP on the street right now. Some of the people on the call may want to look at that to really provide a unified back office system. And, yeah, so and historically we've been in sort of the call us or write us sort of mode from a customer service standpoint. We want to get beyond that. We want to get to the point, if you want to chat with us, if you want to social message us, we want to meet you on your terms and coordinate with you. So we think through that project that
where can we find out information about that RFP?
So Chrissy will post it in the chat, but
Okay.
it's on our website under the
We'll
doing
share it.
with the PA Turnpike. Yeah. So,
So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. Let's get back to Waze real quick. How did that relationship start?
It was out of luck. Actually, a professional friend of mine mentioned that they were starting what they called the Connected Citizens program, and we reached out right away. And I think we were the 10th partner, and they now have 2,000 partners. So we were fortunate to get in on the forefront back in 2014, and it's been good. You know, again, we share information with them. They give it to us. We actually have, if anybody's familiar with Waze, the map is actually crowdsourced. And they have what they call map champs and global map editors. And actually, we have some of the people in this room who are certified to do that. So they enter stuff in ways, whether it's a closure, a change in geometry, all those kind of things. So it's been a good partnership.
Well, that's really cool. We're going to have to follow up about Waze and related stuff offline, but that's terrific. Thank you for that use case. So, you know, the commission I know is particularly interested in bringing in diverse suppliers. So I know you have a history of working in ways to engage the community in much of your work, but don't you have something coming up that is just another iteration of engagement of diverse suppliers?
Yeah. First, you know, thanks for having us here today. We definitely want to promote what we're calling Meet Turnpike Tech. It's next Tuesday at 1:30. Chrissy will post information about that in the chat.
Excellent.
But, you know, we're looking for new partners, you know, and, you know, one thing I've learned from the pandemic is, you know, we can reach out to more people in the virtual environment. So we're trying to expand the net to get, you know, we have some great existing partners, but we want to find new, innovative, and diverse partners to work with us moving ahead as well, too.
And so do you work with startups at all? Is there some like threshold in terms of what you're interested in and types of companies in terms of their stature?
Yeah, well, I mean, so there's a couple things there. We do have some cooperative agreements that we use, like a GSA or a Texas, it's called a Texas DIR, where we can do some quick things with, say, a smaller firm if they're certified. There are thresholds that we're allowed to sole source, but there is obviously scrutiny on that from being on the public side.
Right.
And, you know, it's, you know, most of our partners too, you know, when they see an opportunity to add a good partner to their team, they'll do that as well too. So there are ways, and, you know, I mentioned to you before too, we have what we call the Innovation Council.
Yes.
You know, we love business partners and potential partners to bring us innovative ideas. So that group meets every 2 months. It's every department in the Turnpike is representative. And we have a lot of talks about technology, business process, engineering, you know, all kinds of things get discussed in that group. So I'd encourage everybody, if they have an innovative idea, to let me know. And we try to bring you to that group as well.
Okay. And so we'll put info on connecting with you and your team as well in the chat and when we share this recording. So what about, let's talk about a cashless system by the end of the year and talk about that project.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the unfortunate things about the pandemic is, you know, we did accelerate our cashless program. You know, we were ready from a technology standpoint to do that. You know, we felt like from the safety of the customers with what was going on, you know, it was necessary to move ahead. So we have cashless tolling in place. The next evolution, what you're going to see is actually the interchanges you see them today are going to kind of transform over the next few years. And we're going to go to what we call open road tolling. And it's first going to happen in the east from basically Reading to Philadelphia. And what you'll see is that those toll plazas disappear and the tolling equipment will actually be on the main line. So we're going to do that in 2024 in the east. Depending on what happens with our approval of our capital program in 2 weeks, in the west, that's probably going to happen by 2026. So again, the interchanges, as you know them in the west, are going to change in the next few years. So beyond that, we're also looking at other mechanisms to really work with our customers. We know not everybody wants to have an easy pass. We know not everybody likes the hassle of getting a toll by plate invoice mailed to them. So we're looking at mobile cashless solutions, other technologies that really provide a variety of means for our customers to pay, to ride our road.
So how was traffic on the turnpike during COVID?
Well, it's been a interesting journey. So what we've seen early on, about this time last year, we saw traffic dip to about 65% versus what it normally is. Towards the tail end of the year, really commercial traffic came back, and it's pretty much back to the pre-pandemic levels, which is good for all of us who rely on freight. Where we see vehicular traffic, it's still down anywhere from 15 to 25% per day. Some of that's dependent on what's going on. So it's weather dependent. I'm sure with the snow happening over the past two days, the traffic is down a bit. We don't think that traffic is going to come back for quite some time. And that's not just us. I think globally, that's what we're seeing is traffic's down about 20%. I think every organization is debating, what's the future of work? Do we bring people back? Do we give them some option to work remotely?
Right.
It's going to have a long-term impact on us for sure.
But those numbers are actually better than airport numbers. So, in terms of reduction, airports dropped to, near no activity. And so there are people driving still.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thought. Me personally, I'm probably more apt to go to the beach for a vacation this year than to fly. Right. So I think that might be part of that.
Mm-hmm. So let's then talk about. They might not be aware of the study and your engagement in one of my favorite things, which is the Hyperloop. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure.
When am I going to be able to get to Chicago in a half hour?
It would be very great if I was trying to get to a Penguins game. I could be there in like 5 minutes. But so we were charged by the House to take a look at Hyperloop. There's really 3 Hyperloop studies going on. There's 2 studies looking to connect Chicago to Pittsburgh, one going through Cleveland, the other one going through Columbus. So there's sort of these competing studies going on. And they're sort of driven somewhat by Virgin and HTT. What we were tasked to do was take an independent look. And, and our assessment was, like any good government study, it was inconclusive in what we found. But what we did find is, the technical and financial feasibility is maturing. It's maybe not ready to be built just yet. But, really what we found too was, the impact to Pennsylvania if it gets built elsewhere. So let's say Hyperloop happens and goes through New York or south of us. The impact to our economy could be devastating. For the Pennsylvania Turnpike, half of our revenue is from freight. So if all that goes via Hyperloop through Maryland, West Virginia, Maryland, that's a big deal. So, we're trying to be part of the conversation, definitely in Pittsburgh, especially, with the 2 studies going on connecting to Pittsburgh, right. But also what's going on in West Virginia with, the Virgin Test Center being awarded to West Virginia. So it's something that we're staying part of the conversation. We have every 2 to 3 months, we check in with the 3 major players. Besides HTT and Virgin, we talked to Transpod, which is out of Canada as well too. So I think, a lot of people compare it to high-speed rail, and it's definitely, there's some comparisons, but it's different too. I mean, the on-demand component of it, the freight component of it, it's not the same as those of us who grew up in Pittsburgh during the high-speed rail conversations, know some of the, things that happened with that. But, I think there is a technical and financial feasibility of it. It's just not quite ready to move ahead right now.
So, this whole thing of connected infrastructure, autonomous vehicles, EVs, et cetera, and all the ubiquitousness of what we're all trying to achieve. We talked a little bit about locomotion before, we started the show today. So, the world of autonomous trucks, et cetera, how is the Turnpike preparing for all these changes?
Yeah, we're trying to be part of the conversation. It's funny you talk about Penn State, and I remember hearing about autonomous vehicles back in 1992, and I said that'll never happen. And here we are. We've kind of seen that confluence of the auto manufacturers, really, automation and really telecommunications and data
Right.
coming together. Obviously Pittsburgh with Carnegie Mellon and all the private ventures in Pittsburgh has been a huge part of that. So we're trying to prepare the best we can. In the connected space, we have what we call a connected vehicle lab, where prior to the proposed rulemaking, we were starting to explore and understand DSRC technologies. So we actually had connected devices on the road, talking to vehicles. They weren't having much of a conversation, but we were exchanging data with vehicles. Autonomous, you mentioned the locomotion demo that we just did between Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan. And for us, it's really understanding, do we have the right pavement markings? What does the autonomous vehicle need to run on a road? So we're looking at those types of things. Really, I think in the near term, electrification is going to be really the thing that is accelerated the most, especially with what's kind of proposed in the infrastructure bill. So we are deploying charging stations right now.
Are you?
Yeah. So there's some, actually, I think the ones at Somerset are finishing up this week. And I forget the status overall. We're actually installing a couple at our office building too, which is kind of cool.
Oh, nice.
So we're getting ready for electrification because, we know a lot of our road is rural. The Sheetses of the world will, add charging stations, but
yes,
we need to have them as well too.
That's great. So let's talk into what you talk about what you just leaked a moment ago. I mean, the Biden administration is proposing, just an unprecedented amount of investment in infrastructure. So what might be some projects? What are some of the things that could be enabled as a result of this for the Turnpike?
Yeah. I mean, so we have some real needs. I mean, so first, we're excited about any sort of investment in infrastructure. I think a couple of things I like about the bill beyond just, some investment in highway infrastructure and transit. There's also a broadband component to that, which is exciting. And, from a security standpoint, there's actually a cybersecurity component too. So that's nice to see. The reality is we're an 80-year-old road. We've been working on our total reconstruction program. We're about halfway through that, with either construction or design activities. We still have over 200 miles to go and reconstruct from the original 1940 and 1950 roadway. So, we have those investments. We have 5 tunnels that we're in the process of, working on the Tuscarora Tunnel. We hope to, at some point, bypass the Allegheny Tunnel, but tunnels are not cheap. And then we have a major structure, the DRB Bridge down in Philadelphia connecting to New Jersey. We're starting to design to replace that bridge. That is a huge investment. It's a major bridge. So we've got some real infrastructure needs. The other thing is, we're already installing 200 miles of fiber, and that's going to have over 500 strands of fiber for our uses, for connected vehicles, for commercialization. We hope to expand that to the west as well too. So, if we get some money from the infrastructure bill, maybe that's something we would use it for.
Well, how do you feel that we're doing in terms of other turnpike commissions? I mean, can you brag a little bit about that or not?
I think we're the best, but but no, we it's funny, we work a lot with Ohio Turnpike and New Jersey Turnpike and other agencies, and our CEO is the president of the IBTTA, which is the sort of the toll agency organization overall. It's a good competition, friendly competition. So they push us, we push them. But I think we're doing pretty good. I think we've been a leader, and we hope to continue to be that.
So what about like hiring? So you've shared all these behind the scenes sort of sexy, interesting things that you're working on. And what about hiring? Are you hiring people in tech right now? And could they work remote?
Yeah. So we are, early on, we did freeze our hiring with so many things going on. We've opened things up. I think we have about 6 active vacancies right now. The one we're looking for people to apply to is the cybersecurity manager position. So we are hiring people. Like a lot of organizations, like I said, we're having a conversation about, what's the future workplace look like? we think it's probably going to be a model that allows, flexibility, whether that's somebody going to the office every day, sort of splitting time, or possibly working remotely. But we may be somewhat driven by what the state does on that too. So, one thing when you say, could they work from anywhere? Yeah, right now our thought is anywhere in Pennsylvania. We may ask you to report to our Western regional office. There's some other options too, but we are looking to expand the net from a hiring standpoint too to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, and hopefully we can provide a truly flexible environment in the future.
Well, I mean, with the focus on sustainability and the microgrid, what about some of the initiatives there?
Yeah, perfect day to ask that question. The microgrid in Hempfield with a maintenance facility that was covered in the media in Pittsburgh was an awesome concept. We are generating our own energy for that whole maintenance facility. We're giving some back, and I'm not ashamed to admit we're generating revenue from that. So giving some of that back. So that's going to be a model for every new facility we do moving ahead. So that's very exciting. We have stood up a sustainability committee overall. We're also, taking a look at our role from a stormwater management standpoint, making sure we have clean water and do the right things that we need to do. Then there's small things, I just looked at the printing numbers. We're down 90% printing. Do we ever need to use paper again?
Oh, nice. So you have internal metrics as well?
Yeah. So we're taking a look at print. It's small, but it's helping reduce our footprint.
No, it's big. So what do you think 4 years into the job? What's ahead? You've got new money coming in, hopefully from the Biden administration. We're hoping to see finally investments in infrastructure. We talked about the Hyperloop. We talked about contactless. You've talked about, interconnected vehicles. What is the piece that perhaps we didn't cover that you want to make sure that we're talking about?
Yeah, I touched on the business automation and modernization. That again, that's not exciting stuff, but that's big for us.
It is big though.
As we evolve as an organization, data. I think that's another area. I mentioned the Waze stuff, but I read a number yesterday that I think 90% of the world's data was generated in the last 3 years. So, when I look at like what Michigan did with some of the early connected vehicle pilots and the amount of data, just those small pilots generated with connecting on automated vehicles, data is going to be huge moving ahead. We've tried to organize around enterprise data management and, how can we get information that improves safety and mobility, and how can we provide that? But, whether it's how we maintain our infrastructure or other things, using that data to make more informed decisions, to make more proactive decisions is a huge part of what we need to do.
So you can see up there, we have one last question. The open road toll rollout, will that eventually lead to slip ramps to access the turnpike between the current exits?
Yeah, that's the game plan. So, obviously as we get open road tolling, the goal is that opens up a lot of things from a, flexibility standpoint. There's projects that we've looked at that, obviously you have to look off system. Do they have the capacity? We just can't, we just can't throw up interchange, and not have any sort of off system capacity, but that's the goal. So to start looking at, where there is a need and where we can connect people, that improves mobility overall, and obviously it brings customers to our road.
So what do you do for fun, Bob? What do you do for fun? You sound like a serious guy who we're thrilled to have in government that seems to operate like a business.
It's pretty boring stuff. I love hockey and I love my son, so it's a lot of
that's not boring.
But the past year has been different. There's been new hobbies. There's been home improvement projects. Did a lot more hiking. I took up fly fishing, so I'm really bad at it. But that's sort of what I do for fun.
Listen, that is not boring. There's nothing boring, and there's nothing boring about the work that you're doing.
No,
it's really important. It is so important for the work that we do here in tech to know that there's investment in infrastructure, to know that we're going to have access to the newest technology that's going to move people and things. That matters to our world.
Yeah.
So, really appreciate your leadership here.
Yeah, and I just want to mention Southern Beltway is opening in October, so that's in the Pittsburgh area. That's a really big deal. So
Oh, right, yes,
connecting
yes.
with the airport to I-79, that's a huge project.
Mhm.
There's not been a roadway project like that in the Pittsburgh area since 1989, I was told. So
Huh.
new roads like that don't happen often. So we're excited about that as well.
So is there anything next after that, after the Southern